NASCAR Insight fans, Shane Carlson with you here this week again for NASCAR Insight, and happy Halloween too. It's Halloween today, so got my Halloween colors on. That's always good. Last week we were in Martinsville, the Camping World Truck Series and the Sprint Cup Series were, and they produced a lot of great racing in both of those races. Actually, had great finishes. And this week we go to Texas. All three of the series are in action this weekend. Just 3 races to go in the season for each one of the 3 series. So we're getting down to the home stretch here. But to recap last weekend in Martinsville, the Camping World Trucks were there Saturday afternoon. And it was a historical win for Darrell Bubba Wallace Jr. He goes by Bubba. The 20-year-old scored his first career NASCAR victory, and it was the first time an African-American driver has won in a NASCAR series since 1963, when Wendell Scott did that. And so that's pretty big for the sport. We're heading in the right direction there, and it's just good to see that we're becoming more diversified, and it's just good for the sport in that regard. And he was really emotional coming around turn 4, and that was cool to experience, or to hear him on the radio. Just let out that emotion for that first victory. And actually, the way he got the win was he was just solid on restarts. It was pretty much a crash fest all day long, but he was able to use the bottom lane and get a good jump heading into the first corner, and by the time he got to the first corner, he was at least a truck length ahead of the guy in second most of the time. So he was able to get clear, and from then on, it was a battle for second, and he was able to drive away. Another headline that came out of that race was Kevin Harvick and Ty Dillon. They both have ties to Richard Childress Racing. Harvick races for Richard Childress Racing in the Sprint Cup Series, and Ty Dillon races for RCR in the Truck and Nationwide Series, and Dillon is also the grandson of Richard Childress Racing. But late in the running, they got into a little bit of a tangle. They both wrecked with just a few laps left, battling for second. Harvick had gotten by Ty Dillon earlier, and Dillon had a better truck, it looked like, and got in the back of Harvick. They got turned around, and essentially that ended their hopes of winning the race. But after the race, Harvick had some choice words for Ty Dillon about how Dillon was just given everything and how he doesn't think he's a good driver, and Dillon obviously disagreed with that after he heard those comments. He thought Harvick is just being a punk. But another thing coming out of that is that Harvick announced at the end of last year that he's leaving Richard Childress Racing to go over to Stewart-Haas Racing for 2014. So he's raced this entire season knowing that he's not going to be there next year, and he's in the title hunt. But I don't know how that's going to affect him moving forward in these next 3 races. It's just not a positive thing that you want to have going on when you're trying to battle for a title. It's just an extra distraction that you don't need. But other than that, that was pretty much a truck race for you. Nationwide Series was off, and the Sprint Cup Series was in action at Martinsville on Sunday afternoon. And actually, it's kind of a cool thing for me this week, because growing up, Jeff Gordon has always been my childhood hero, and I've always looked up to him and cheered for him. And he was able to get his first win of the season this past weekend, and so it's just kind of cool to be able to talk about him winning a race. So he won the race. Now he just sits 27 points back in 3rd place in the championship hunt. I definitely think he can still win this. It may take a slip up for Matt Kenseth or Jimmy Johnson, but if those 2 guys start focusing on just racing each other and forget about who's behind them, Jeff Gordon can honestly, I think he can go up and win this championship. He's really, really good at the next 3 tracks. He won at Homestead, the final race of the year last year. So I would not definitely count Jeff Gordon out of this championship hunt. And I also think that if you're going to include Jeff Gordon in the championship conversation, you might as well include Kevin Harvick, even though he's got all those extra distractions going on right now. He's fourth in points, 28 points back of the leaders, and so that makes him just 1 point behind Jeff Gordon. So I think both of those guys are still in it. Kyle Busch is fifth. He's 36 points back. I don't think he can win it this year. That's just, he's got to make up over 10 points a race, and I don't think those top guys are going to give up that much every race. So with that, it was Jeff Gordon's 8th career win at Martinsville, but it was just the first win at a short track since 2005 for him. So he's starting to get back into that form of being really a contender every week or every time we go to a short track. So that's good to see. And he survived 17 cautions on the day. There's wrecks all over the place. Started lap 4. Carl Edwards got into the back of Jeff Burton, and it really lasted all day until the final run of the day, where it was about 50 to go. And Jeff Gordon just had a car that was good on the long run, and with 21 to go, he passed Matt Kenseth for the win. And actually, Matt Kenseth had a really, really good day, too. Normally, he struggles at Martinsville, but ever since going over to Joe Gibbs Racing, he's had 2 strong runs there. He hasn't had any wins there this year, but 2 very solid runs, and he was able to outduel Jimmy Johnson, who finished 5th. Kenseth finished 2nd. That's really all that happened last weekend. For this weekend coming up in Texas, all 3 of the series are there. Trucks Friday, Nationwide Saturday afternoon, and Cup Series Sunday afternoon. So with that, the Truck Series, Matt Crafton pretty much already wrapped up his championship. He's up by 57 points. So he's just looking to go get wins now at this point. He can take some chances at trying to get a win. But he pretty much already has it wrapped up. As for the Nationwide Series, it's a totally different story. Austin Dillon has an 8-point advantage over Sam Hornish Jr. in that series, but Austin Dillon doesn't have any wins yet either. Sam Hornish Jr. has 1 win, but that'll be interesting to see those 2 guys because Sam Hornish Jr. is really, really, really good at the mile and a half tracks, and the Ford program overall is just really good there too. So it'll be interesting to see Sam Hornish Jr. try to reel in Austin Dillon for the championship and wins too. And they're back after 2 weeks off. Nationwide Series has been off for 2 weeks now, so good to see those guys back. And Sprint Cup Series at Texas on Sunday afternoon is race 8 of the Chase. So we've only got 3 to go. And Jeff Gordon, as I mentioned before, is 3rd in points, and he's just kind of stalking Matt Kenseth and Jimmy Johnson, who are tied 1st and 2nd in points. Last time we were at Texas in April, Kyle Busch was able to get the win. He actually swept the Nationwide and Cup Series races that weekend. So we'll see what he can do this weekend. He should be good. If he can get the win, I don't think he's got enough to get back into the title hunt, but we never know. Things can happen. But definitely Texas has got the potential for a lot of good finishes. There have been a lot of good finishes in the past, and there's a lot of room to race. You can go all the way high next up to the wall, and you can see guys down nearly on the apron too. So variety of lanes that a driver can choose. That's always really interesting to see lines come and go throughout the day. That's cool to watch. And my next section here is my picks. For the Camping World Truck Series, I'm going to go with Ty Dillon in the 3. After last week, he had a shot at the win and at least 2nd place. He should have gotten 2nd place, so I think he's coming back with a vengeance this weekend. And I think he can get the 3 truck to victory lane. After this season, Ty Dillon is going to be moving on to the Nationwide Series, so he's only got 3 races left in a truck, so I think he wants to go and get as many wins as he can. As for the Nationwide Series, I'm going to go with the 12 car of Sam Hornish Jr. He's down 8 points in the championship to Austin Dillon, but he's really good at Texas, and the Fords are also really good at Texas. So I'm going to roll with Sam Hornish Jr. this weekend in the Nationwide Series. And as for the Sprint Cup Series, I'm going to go with the only Hendrick Motorsports driver without a win this far in the season, and that would be the 88 car of Dale Earnhardt Jr. He hasn't won at Texas since 2000, but his whole program has really started to blossom. I know he doesn't have any wins yet this season, but I think he's getting that consistent performance there, and that's good to see. His mile-and-a-half track program is heading in the right direction, and Texas I just think suits his driving style too. Normally, Junior likes to run the high line right up next to the wall to carry the momentum into the straightaways. I think he'll use that this weekend. He's got a special paint scheme, so that never hurts. But I think Dale Earnhardt Jr. can break in a victory lane for the first time this season. And I think, especially after last week, he had a good car. I think he had a top 5 car for sure, but he finished 8th. And he just seemed really dejected after the race watching his interview. So I think Dale Earnhardt Jr. can come into Texas this week and get a win and secure a top 5 points position at the end of the year. So with that, that's all I got for you guys this week. Go to NASCARinsight.wordpress.com to check out the blog and like the Facebook page and follow at NASCAR Insight on Twitter. Cool. See you guys next week. I'll make another video for you. Thanks.